Hello everyone, let us create a 3D logo in Illustrator. So let us start. I have selected an A4 size landscape document. Now let's first create the letter A. So we are designing a logo for the company Alpha Designers Private Limited. Right. So we'll just select the type tool and we'll just type the letter A and we will just increase the size. We will select Arial black font. Arial black is a thickest font, right? And we can also slightly stretch it inwards, something like this, right? Now we will turn off the fill to stroke, or we will swap the fill to stroke. So we can use the keyboard shortcut Shift plus X. So we can see the fill has become a stroke, right? Now the thing we'll be doing is we will first go to object menu, and in object menu let us expand this. So what expand will do is it will turn the stroke into a normal shape or a normal line. So we can just click OK. That's it. Now what we'll be doing is we will select the pen tool and we will create a division, a section. So something like this, right? We can slightly adjust the section. Right. Now we will just select the entire set of parts. And here we have shape builder. So we can use shape builder and we can give separate colors for the top section and the bottom section. So what we'll be doing, we'll give a red color for the top section and we will give green color for the bottom section. That's it. And we will remove this unwanted line, right? And we will also remove the stroke that is over this letter A. So we'll just draw a selection around the letter A and we can just activate the stroke here and we can just turn off the stroke, right? So now we have two sections. We can use the direct selection tool and we can just move the top section and separate it from the bottom section, right? We can also slightly move the bottom section. Right. So now we got two sections. Now the thing we are supposed to do is, now we will be applying 3D option to this particular text. We can just draw a selection from outside and we can just go to effect. Here we have 3D and materials, and if we scroll down here we have 3D classic and we'll just select extrude and bevel. So we can see here, and we will first keep the default values to 0, right? And now we will select this particular axis. This is y axis, and we'll just put the cursor in the y axis field and we can just hit the down arrow so that we can see how the alphabet is rotating, right? And we can also slightly reduce the extrude depth here. So we can create something like this, right? So now the next step we are supposed to do is we will now expand this alphabet. So we'll simply go to object and here we will select expand appearance. So again we have brought the alphabet or letter out of the 3D extrude mode, right? So now what we'll be doing is we'll give some attraction to this letter A. We will give our own colors. We'll give some gradient colors. Right. For that we have to ungroup this alphabet. So we'll just right click on it, and here we have the option ungroup. So we have to ungroup it till we see the individual pieces. Here we can see these individual pieces here. Right. Now we can just slightly scale it. Right. So now the thing we'll be doing is we will apply some gradient colors. So where we can find gradient colors, we can just go to window menu, and in window menu we have swatches, and once the swatches panel appears, at the bottom of the swatches panel we can find a swatch libraries menu, and from swatch libraries menu let's select gradients, and here we have the option gems and jewels. Let's keep this gems and jewels active, and first what we'll be doing is here we will apply this garnet gradient, and for the bottom we will apply this emerald, something like this. Right. And for these side pieces we will apply this sapphire. So we can just apply the sapphire to all the side portions. Right. So now this looks interesting. The next interesting thing that we'll be doing is we will create a stroke that runs along the edges of these letters. Let's select the pen tool and make sure that the stroke is active and the fill is off. Right. Now let's zoom into the image, and also we have to properly align the stroke along the edges of this letter A. So for that what we'll be doing is we need to first go to view menu, and in view menu we need to check whether the snap to point option is on or not. So we have to keep it on so that the stroke properly runs along the edges and aligns over the edges of this letter. Right. So now let's start creating the stroke. So just click on this. So we have created a stroke here, and we also need to adjust it properly, and let's hit enter once we are done. So we need to just adjust it properly here. Make sure that it is running properly along the edges. It has aligned properly along the edges. Right. So once we have created this stroke, now the next thing we are supposed to do is we don't want a uniform stroke, so we will slightly increase the stroke width. So we can see now the stroke is thick, but we don't want uniform stroke. We will change the stroke width to width profile 1. So now it will have some thickness at the center, and it will be thin at the corners. We will also reduce the stroke width here. So let's keep it to 0.75 points. Right. We'll slightly increase it to, let's say, 1 point. Okay, this much is better. And the next thing is we don't want the green color stroke. We will give it a gradient. In gems and jewels we can find this option citrine, so we can just select it. So we can see a golden stroke that is running along the edges, and we will also create a similar stroke for the bottom section. So we will again select the pen tool, and we will just create a stroke. So just we need to finish it off, right? And we also need to adjust it a little bit here. We can just zoom into the image. Here we can see the stroke is not aligned properly, so we have to just adjust it till we align it properly. And even here it is not aligned properly, right? So just we need to be patient here, right? So now the stroke is aligned properly, and again we don't want a uniform stroke here, we want a width profile one, right? So here we have created a golden stroke that runs along the edges of this letter, right? So now the thing we have to do is we need to add some extra attraction to our alphabet. So what is that? This is our designing company, so let's try to get some designs. So we'll just go to file and we'll select place, and we'll get the design. Just we need to get the design. So here is the design, right? So we want to apply this design to this letter A. First we will select the top section here, and we will duplicate the section. So we'll simply hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then drag. So we have created a duplicate. Now what we'll be doing is we will put this design inside this piece or inside this section. So what we can do, first thing is we will just right click on this shape, and we will select arrange, and we will select bring to front, so that the shape will be in front and the design will be behind the shape. So something like this. Now what we'll be doing is we will hold shift and select the design as well as the shape, and we will right click on the shape and we will select the option make clipping mask. So we can see here. So now the design is inside the shape. So now we will select the design and we will just adjust it over the main letter, right? But we want to blend it properly so that we can also see the gradients. So we'll select this shape, and here on top we can find opacity. We'll click on opacity, and from opacity we can find the blending mode. The best blending mode for this one is we will just select soft light. So we can see here. Now we can also see the gradient as well as the design. The design perfectly blended into the letter, right? We'll do the same thing for this bottom section. So again we can just go to file and we can select place, and we can select the same design, and then we will again take a duplicate of this bottom section. We'll just select this design, and again we will bring the shape in front of the design, and we will shift select both these objects, and we will right click and select make clipping mask, right? And again we will just keep the shape over the main letter, right? Adjust it properly, and again we will go to opacity and we will select the blending mode soft light, so we can see. So now our 3D letter looks interesting. So now we will just select all the objects and we will group it, right? So once we have grouped, now we'll make it more interesting here. So what we'll be doing is we will first select an ellipse, and we will give some color to this, and then what we'll be doing is we will take one more duplicate, and we will try to create a mask effect and we will get the design also. So we will apply a mask effect to the design. So how we will be doing? We'll just import the design for one last time. And the thing now we have to do is, first we have to select a black and white color for this particular ellipse. So what we'll be doing is, we'll just select the gradient panel, and here we have white black. We'll just select that white black, and we have applied to the stroke. We simply need to hit Shift plus X to convert the stroke to fill, and we will turn off the stroke here. Now we will select a radial gradient, and make sure that the dark color is at the corners and light color is at the center, but we want more darkness at the corners. So we will activate the annotator. To activate the annotator, we simply need to hit G. So this is annotator, and we will just move the slider here so that there is more black, and white is only at the center. So we need something like this, right? Then the next thing we are supposed to do is, we will first put this design inside this ellipse. So we'll just increase the size of this design, and we have to put the shape in front of the design. So we'll simply right click, arrange, and we'll select bring to front, right? And we will shift select both the design and the shape, and we'll right click and select make clipping mask, right? Now the thing we are supposed to do is, we have to just put this black and white in front of this design. We'll just right click on it, select arrange, and we'll select bring to front, and again we will draw a selection from outside to select both the black and white ellipse as well as the design ellipse, and we will just right click, or sorry, not right click, we'll just go to opacity here, and on the top right corner we can see a hamburger menu, and we'll just click on that menu, and immediately we can see this option make opacity mask. Just we need to click on it, that's it. So now we can see how our design is appearing. It is appearing like it has a feathery edge, right? So now the thing we are supposed to do is, we have to keep it behind the letter. So we'll just right click, arrange, and we'll select send to back, and we will just increase the size of it, right? So now we will just adjust the alphabet, just adjust it properly, and now we will get some more objects. We will again get an ellipse here, right? And this time we will just select a different gradient. So here we will click on this swatch libraries menu. We will go to gradients, and we will select metals. So in metals, let's apply a golden metallic gradient, so something like this. We can also try silver if you want, right? And once we have just created a golden metallic gradient, so we have just right click and select arrange, and we can just select send to back, so something like this. So now we can see, a lot of ellipses here, and the thing we are supposed to do is, we have to blend this ellipse. So this design we have to blend. We'll just click on this opacity, and here we can select soft light, or soft light is not so interesting. We can select overlay, or we can select hard light. We can also select multiply. Okay, we can see here, we can just check the appropriate blending mode, and we can reduce the opacity a little bit, so we can just see the design lightly, right? Now the thing is, here a lot of objects are there, so we can just put this alphabet in its own separate layer. Just activate the layers panel, and we'll just create a new layer, and we'll just cut this alphabet, and we'll place it inside this new layer, right? And we can lock the ellipse for a while. just we need to click on this lock icon. So something like this. And to make it more interesting, we will also give it a drop shadow. So we'll go to effect. Here we have the option stylize and we'll select drop shadow. So we can see there is a simple drop shadow behind the letter. We can just change the X offset so that the shadow is at the center. Right. Now we'll make it more interesting. So we will also create an ellipse, a smaller ellipse, and we will give some colors to this. So we will give some bluish coloring to this. So we will also keep our gradient active, and we will also activate the fill here, and we will select this sapphire, but here we will just adjust the gradient a little bit, and we will also select the radial gradient. Right. So here we have a small circle. We will just keep it over here, and we will create duplicates of this small circle. So how we can do that? We need to just create one more ellipse here, and let's turn the fill to stroke. Now we will just keep it over here. You can just scale it, and we will also duplicate the ellipse here. Right. Now we will select both these ellipses by holding shift, and we'll go to object and we'll select blend, and we will also go to blend options, and in blend options here we have the spacing, and in spacing we will select specified steps. In specified steps we will just put the value 25, and we will click OK, and then we will go to object again and we will select the blend option, and we will just click on make. So we got the duplicates. Now we want all these duplicates over the elliptical path. So for that we have to again hold shift and select the elliptical path as well as these ellipses, and we'll go to object, blend, and we will select the option replace spine. So we can see here, and we can do one more thing. We will increase the number of duplicates. So we will just go to blend options, and instead of 25 let's put 50, and we will again go to object, blend, and we'll click on make. So now we will select the ellipses and path, and we will go to object again and blend, and we'll select replace spine. We want some spacing here, so here we can see a lot of gap here, so we will select the add anchor point tool, and we will just click over here. So now we can see, we can just click one more time. Just we want proper placement here. Right, now this looks better. Right, so we can see here, and now we will select this elliptical path on which we have these ellipses, and we will go to object and we will select expand. Right, and then the thing we have to do is we can just scale down the letter A just a little bit, so that we can create just one more ellipse. We have to create two more ellipses actually, and now we will just keep it over here, and then just we have to increase the stroke here, right, something like this. Just we need to keep it at the center. Right, then one last thing we'll be doing is we will select one final ellipse. So we'll just select one final ellipse here, and we will turn the stroke into fill. We'll just keep it over here, and we will select arrange, and we'll we will take it behind all the objects, and we will also make it big here. So we can see we have to just take it behind all objects, but here currently the object is in layer 2. So what we can do is we can just create one more layer, and we can just cut this object, and we can just paste it in the layer 3, and we can drag the layer 3 below all the layers. So we can see here, so something like this. So one last thing that we will be doing is we will just create one more ellipse, and we have to put letters on this ellipse. It's not letters, we have to put the name of our company. So for that, what we'll be doing, we'll take one more layer, and we will just select one last ellipse. We'll just keep it over here. Just keep it over here, and for this what we need to do is we need to turn on the stroke, right? Then the only thing left for us to do is we have to just type something. So again, what we'll be doing is we will split this ellipse. To split the ellipse, we have to just select the bottom point or the center point here, and we will click on this cut path at selected anchor points, and we will also click on the right anchor point, and we will select cut path at selected anchor points, right? So now we have split the path or elliptical path. We will just drag it a little bit down, and also we will select the top path, and we'll just move it a little bit up, right? Now the only thing left for us to do is we have to just put the text. So we will select the type tool, but make sure that we select the type on a path tool. So we'll just select it, and we'll just try to put the text on this path. So some default text appears, so we will just hit backspace to remove the default text, and now we'll put our own text. So we'll just type Alpha Designers Private Limited. We'll just highlight the word, and we'll just increase the size of this, and we can use the direct selection tool to move it a little bit properly, right? And then we can just adjust it properly here. Right. So once we have adjusted it, now we will just break the link between the text and the path. So for that, we have to just go to object, and here we have the option expand, right? And then we have to just change the color. Let's give it a pure yellow color, and we'll just turn off the stroke, something like this. And one last thing we'll be doing is we will put some stars at the bottom. So just we'll select one star. We'll just keep it over here. We'll take a duplicate of the star, and now we will give a blend to these stars. We'll select both the stars. We'll go to object. Here we have the blend, and we'll select blend options, and we will just give let's say 15. Let's see whether 15 is enough or not. We'll again go to object, blend, and we'll say make, and then we will shift select the path, and we'll go to object, blend, and we'll select replace spine. So we can see we can do one thing. We will reduce the number of stars. I think the stars are too much, so we'll just go to object, blend options, instead of 15 let's put 8, right? And then we'll go to object again and we'll select blend and we'll select make, and then again we'll shift select the path, we'll go to object blend and we will select replace spine. Right, now this is okay. Now we'll again go to object and we will select expand. That's it, and we can just adjust the stars properly, and we can also just adjust the position of the text. Right, so this is the final product. We can export this logo as a PDF file or as a SVG file. SVG is scalable vector graphics and PDF means portable document format. These two formats are vector graphic formats. We can get sharp edges without any pixels. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do like, subscribe, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.